We have some interesting things to talk about today, including my 11-year-old daughter vibe coding and some robots. So because I don't want this to be super boring, I thought we're going to make a little game as well. Pay attention while you're watching for the stuff. Actually, at the end, I'll give you more instructions. So as I mentioned on my previous video, I want to try out a new format where between the main videos, I want to share a little bit more what I'm thinking and the cool stuff that I've seen or anything that is going into the video that is relevant and I could share before without spoiling anything. A couple of weeks ago, I gave my 11-year-old daughter access to Cloud Code. She spent 4 hours logged in until we ran out of credits. Some people say that's not what logged in means. Doesn't matter. She managed to figure out logins, avatars, and you can do your own descriptions, profiles. It's pretty cool. Then you can chat with your friends. Different people can join in. She figured out how to get it. And then she even created like little games you can play with friends. Well, actually, this one would be just alone. If this is any indication of the future, I actually think we're going to be creating more software, not less. So we may need more coding. Our brains are so much more efficient than the current models. And I don't mean like by a little bit. It's not like optimizing like a 5%. We're talking about many orders of magnitude difference when it comes to energy use and just capacity. When it comes to the difference in power, you could argue that maybe it's because of the structure of the brain and actually has used the energy of the entire evolution until now, or maybe it's something else. But either way, you either can start with that structure or the brain is just more efficient. We also know that between babies and adults, there's a lot of learning that happens. Just from the first principle of looking at nature, we know we can do better. So that's kind of the observation. So this week I was looking into what might be the difference? And then I remember this, I think it's called Hebbian learning. The brain also learns and creates a memory by reinforcing connections of neurons that fire together. Oversimplification, I'm not a neuroscientist, but my understanding is that if a model is generating a bunch of tokens and there's two connections between different parameters that fire together, the idea is that you should reinforce that connection. So what I decided to do is to get Codex to try and code this for me by starting from a smaller model and then modify the model, the grading to do this instead. So every time I used the model, it would try and reinforce those connections. Ended up not working out, doesn't matter. This raised an interesting point. With AI coding tools, it enables a new workflow, quickly prototype lots of ideas. So I've got like a list of ideas that I used to just postpone, and now I can prototype lots of them and then figure out later which ones to pick based on the results of that. And I can also check the code, learn from that. So it was an interesting experience. Something I forgot to mention is that one of my goals is also to increase my depth when it comes to these subjects. So far, I've been more on the user superficial side of things, and I want to go down there, like to the mud. Now, to the main points of what I'm working on. I've been thinking more about personal AI and private AI. And one of the reasons why I want to work on this is that I got my grandma hooked into ChatGPT. And I thought, like, this is pretty cool. But first, it's limited. Like, she's not paying for it. I'm not sure if I feel that comfortable just giving it to my grandma and then she can talk about all sorts of different things. She has no idea where the data is going. The future, not the present, but the future is in having these models running on her phone. One thing is certain, though, my grandma does not need GPT-5. And the master plan there is to build robots. So why? Because it's not just the fact she cannot understand technology in general, is that she does have those mobility difficulties. Picking stuff up from the floor, but also just in general, if you think about it, when it comes to social care, there's a lot of privacy that is lost. Having someone else picking them up, cleaning them, all sorts of different things. This is an area where robots can help a lot and not replace humans, actually giving more power to humans, because now you have one person who, instead of being able to treat 10 people, treat or take care of 10 people, they can now do for like 20 maybe and still create a good relationship. So this is something I'm still thinking through, but it's 100% something I want to align with and work more. And yes, things are changing very fast. We're talking about some technologies. We also need to be thinking about how to deploy them ethically. The point here is to work on stuff that lets people spend more time doing what is meaningful to them without feeling dependent. So some level of personal freedom and meaningfulness, whatever that means. And since we're talking about robotics, this week I did spot some cool things. Innate bot, which sounds pretty cool, still pretty small. It's personal robotics. This does show that we're going into that age of personal robotics. Let's see if it catches on. Then also an open source one. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce this, actually. Let me read here. XLE Robots. And on that, I also went to the Raspberry Pi store, which I am lucky enough to live in Cambridge, where a Raspberry Pi store does exist. And they also had some interesting kits. So I am getting very soon, maybe tomorrow or early next week, a robot arm, more like an industrial one. We're going to try and fit it here because this robot is probably strong enough that can rip my arm off, or at least a hand or a finger, I don't know. So I might go and get one of those kids kits. So I'm experimenting with the format, as I mentioned. I'm not entirely sure how interesting this is. I'm going to be practicing and continue doing this. I would love if this is a conversation as well. So if you have anything to say about any of those topics, or if you found it very confusing how I delivered this, please do leave in the comments, and yeah, I'll keep improving. These will be just videos in between the other videos, just to try and think through some of the stuff that has been happening or that I've been thinking. If you watched the entire video, you probably noticed some flashy number or word. There is a link somewhere. I mean, I guess you can guess where it is, but that link is incomplete. Find the word, put the word in, go wherever it takes you, and the first person to put in the comments whatever you find at the end of that link, yeah, I'm not sure if you win anything, actually. I didn't think about that part. I didn't think about prizes. Well, you get to be the first. I'll mention you on the next one. Maybe let's start like that. Let's not start doing any prizes yet. I can't go into negative YouTube profit. That's called debt, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway, find that word, find the link, put the word in the link, find the final website, copy whatever is the content, put in the comments. And yes, you could say this is kind of like comment farming, but I do like games, so I thought, let's make a game. And maybe we can design something better, like next time. This is an experiment, and I will want to do this semi-frequent, maybe like every week, every other week, unless it's taking time from the main videos. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'm really excited that the thing I'm working on for the personal AI is actually working now. So, well, most of it. I still have like a stretch goal I want to go for. More on that soon. So I need to actually record the video and make something interesting.